Hello, and thank you for joining us here at the College of Architecture, Planning, and Landscape Architecture at the University of Arizona for an informational session all about our undergraduate offerings. Today, we'll talk about admissions to CAPLA, specifically for the Bachelor of Architecture, our degree programs, how to prepare for a career in architecture and/or design, and our overall CAPLA learning culture. CAPLA stands for the College of Architecture, Planning, and Landscape Architecture, and we are known as leaders here in the United States for sustainable design and planning for arid regions such as Southwest Arizona. We have the longest accredited design and planning programs in the state, and our curriculum is very unique in that it focuses on other disciplines outside of architecture and design, such as alternative energy, conservation and preservation, landscape ecology, affordable housing, and climate change adaptation, among others. We do have very rigorous undergraduate and graduate programs in design, architecture, sustainability, and planning, as well as real estate development. Applying to Arizona for the fall 2023 semester. This slide in particular is focused on the Bachelor of Architecture. If you are interested in any of our other undergraduate offerings, those do follow our general U of A admission guidelines. That means that if you are admitted to the University of Arizona, you would also be admitted to those majors. Architecture is the only program here at CAPLA that has a specific GPA requirement. However, architecture does not require portfolio or a supplemental application. It does require a certain GPA from high school. That's an unweighted core GPA. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can head to arizona.edu and search in the search bar ABOR GPA. So to be directly admitted into architecture, we're looking for at least a 3.5 unweighted core GPA from high school. However, those students with between a 3.0 and 3.49 are still encouraged to select architecture if that's what they're interested in, and their application will go through holistic review. We do have a hard deadline of May 1st to apply to the university and select architecture as your desired major. As noted here, the spring 2023 semester is closed, and we will not be welcoming any new architecture students into the program. The Bachelor of Architecture is a 5-year NAB accredited program, which is the National Architecture Accrediting Board. And here we have broken it down into 3 phases. Overall, this program is very design-centered with an emphasis in design build and sustainability. It's also a very rigorous program with students taking between 16 and 19 credits every single semester. I want to draw your attention to the foundation phase, which is year 1. This is where all architecture students will start on their very first day, working with hand drafting and drawing, model making, and history and theory of architecture, alongside their general education courses. You will see the text in between the first and second year that says milestone, and we'll have a slide for that to go into greater detail. After the foundation phase, you reach the core phase of the program, where you will see a lot of sequential coursework. Your design studios happen every single semester, and those are 6 credits each. So you can imagine that you're spending a lot of time in that design studio atmosphere. This is where you will perfect history and theory of architecture in the built environment, building and construction technologies, as well as practice and project management. Your 4th and primarily 5th year are spent in the research and innovation phase. This is where you have the opportunity to do some optional travel through study abroad and take your design studio to another country, work in a mentorship program, internship, externships, but you'll also be spending your time researching, planning, and designing your final senior capstone project, which of course puts a cap on your entire educational journey here at CAPLA and is a very exciting time for those 5th year students. Let's go into the milestone in greater detail here. The milestone is a competitive point in the major just within architecture, where students are going to be graded on various aspects. The weighted criteria for the milestone are listed here. The first is the portfolio. So students will submit a physical portfolio of all the work that they did throughout the foundation studios. We'll also conduct a GPA check from your studio grades, but also your general cumulative GPA at the University of Arizona. We'll also be paying close attention to your GPA from two key classes, history and theory, and the physical principles of the built environment. Most incoming CAPLA classes and architecture classes, I should say, are between 140 and 150 students. However, CAPLA can only advance 90 students into the core phase. Students will be notified of this advancement as soon as their grades post, which is usually at the end of May. If students do not pass the milestone, they most often select a different major. Some students will stay within CAPLA because they do enjoy design and sustainability, so they might choose landscape architecture, sustainable built environments, or design arts and practices. However, some students will opt to take the foundation studio again. This is a very rare case, and we would only coach or advise a certain student to go through that foundation phase again. So how can you prepare for architecture? Well, architecture is very rigorous, as mentioned, and you'll be taking lots of courses. So if you can transfer over any AP, IB, or dual enrollment courses, you're going to be able to free up your schedule quite a bit, and you won't have to take as many general education courses in English, math, or second language. If you're a transfer student listening to this recording today, please know that we have multiple pathways to architecture and a career in that industry. And you should definitely speak with our advisors to figure out what courses are transferable and which pathway makes the most sense for you. We only require one math class and one physics class. Our math class is college algebra and trigonometry, and we no longer require a physics lab. Instead, we require an applied physics course called the Physical Principles of the Built Environment. Now, we do recommend that you start sketching, whether that's your kitchen, your backyard, a park near your house, just to really start to play around with perception, dimension, and understand what goes into drafting and drawing. So finding your style through taking an art class or maybe even a graphic design class to learn some of that design software. However, we're going to teach you all the software that you need to know. You do not need to have any prior knowledge of those systems before coming to CAPLA. And of course, time management. So what tactics, what plan works specifically for you to stay organized, get your work done, but also have, friends and social connections on campus and make time for maybe a part-time job, a club, or an internship. Here we have our Bachelor of Science in Sustainable Built Environments. This is a 4-year program that is also offered as a minor. We call this major SBE for short, and it does allow students to look at the Earth's built environment through a more sustainable lens. We use various STEM disciplines like biology, statistics, engineering, and design thinking to help our students gain that understanding. So this major would prepare a student to work in consulting for sustainable best practices, renewable energy systems, or the green economy. Students do have to choose an area of emphasis within this major, which is listed here on the slide. And we have it offered both in person, online through our Arizona online campus, or in more of a hybrid fashion if you prefer that instead. Here at CAPLA, we have several accelerated master's programs, or AMPs for short. This is a way for you to cut back on the time that you spend in grad school and essentially get an undergraduate degree and a master's in a shorter period of time, hence the term accelerated master's program. So here on the slide, we have our graduate offerings. These can be paired with almost any major as long as you start working with your advisor sooner rather than later, and apply as a junior during your current program and have a 3.3 or higher. That 3.3 GPA is your cumulative University of Arizona GPA. Next, we have the Bachelor of Landscape Architecture, which is fairly new to CAPLA. We're going to graduate our first cohort in spring 2024. This is a 4-year professional program rooted in design and sustainability, just like the 5-year Bachelor of Architecture program. It's also studio-based curriculum. However, as the name suggests, this is hyper-focused on designing landscapes and research and planning that happens for outdoor spaces like streetscapes, campuses, or even parks. Students within this major will start their first year in the foundation studios, just like an architecture student, before diving into some more specialized and focused core courses in landscape ecology, plant materials, and landscape construction, among others. Finally, we have our Bachelor of Arts in Design Arts and Practices. This is also fairly new to CAPLA and is a 4-year program that allows for a lot of interdisciplinary work and creative thinking. So you might be interested in architectural design, and perhaps you don't want to be a licensed architect one day, but that certainly interests you. So this is great for those students who are inherently creative and want to use creative thinking to tackle real world problems like climate change or social and environmental inequities, or even the struggles and challenges that we face within public health. What's great about this major is that it's very flexible. It does require a minor, and you do have to pick 1 out of 4 emphasis areas. Those are going to allow you to enter industries like web or graphic design, multimedia design, or if you'd like to pursue a different emphasis area, you might be more prepared for urban design, interior, and spatial design. Here you can see those emphasis areas broken down. The 2 that have the asterisks are primarily housed within CAPLA. Print and screen design are going to be primarily in the College of Fine Arts. The College of Fine Arts and the I School of Technology work in collaboration with CAPLA to make these degrees happen. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about becoming a licensed landscape architect or architect, head to ncarb.org to visit the website for the National Council for Registration Boards. Here you're going to find information about NAB accredited programs and what that means, statewide requirements depending on where you're living in the United States, the Architectural Experience Program, which is a process where you will document your time shadowing underneath a licensed architect, and then how to pass the architecture registration exam, or the ARE for short. Let's end here with a little bit more information about our CAPLA learning culture. So I've mentioned studio-based curriculum a few times. I love to describe studio as a very independent, creative space where you are actually encouraged to get up, talk to your classmates, talk to your professor, ask lots of questions. You'll also be working on design software during this time, model making, the design concept process, project management, among other various tasks. We do have one of the largest materials lab connected to an architecture program in the Southwest. It's 9,000 square feet. And while some students will be required to be in this space for particular classes or studios, it's mostly there for you to explore. So if you're interested in material usage and material science, this is going to be a great space for you. We have a fully equipped woodworking shop, CNC router, welding equipment, kilns, 3D printers, among other things for you to use as a student. We also have the model lab or model shop, which is an extension of the materials lab. Here you're going to find 3D printers and our laser cutters. The model lab and the materials lab, those are spaces available to architecture, landscape architecture, and design arts and practices students only after they've completed the first year. So it's just second year and beyond. And students do have to take a very comprehensive safety test in order to utilize any of this equipment in these spaces. We're a fairly small community here at CAPLA, but we are very close-knit. We have a 14-to-1 student to faculty ratio, and our faculty definitely serve as more of a professional connection that might not exist in an academic degree. Our faculty have often worked in the industry of landscape architecture and are licensed in architecture, planning, and design. And so they are going to be your biggest cheerleader. They're going to help you make connections for internships, research, and jobs. Finally, let's end with some information about engagement. One of the most engaging events that we offer here at CAPLA is our job interview fair, where students are able to lock in some pretty amazing internships. This happens every single February, and dozens of firms come to campus just to meet CAPLA students, see their portfolios, and network a little bit. We have 10 CAPLA clubs and organizations to get involved in, and we encourage all students, regardless of major, to get involved with study abroad. Particularly for those studio-based programs, we often invite our 4th and 5th year students to study abroad and bring that design studio to another country. We've gone to South Africa, South America, as well as various places in Europe. Finally, I want to end with some information about what it means to have a professional degree. You are being prepared for a very specific industry and a very specific skill set. So as you can probably gather by now, our programs are very hands-on. They're meant to teach you all of those technical skills that exist within the industry of architecture and design, but you're also going to get some of those traditional soft skills as well, such as public speaking, project management, and just working with other diverse populations. This is really what makes a professional degree special and stand out, that you are expected to really learn these different skills and use them in a specific industry. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you do have any additional questions, please send us an email at capla-ugrad@email.arizona.edu. Thank you.